Hey there, hi there, ho there, fun food fans. It's Karen Ricks, head chef of our kitchen classroom. And as promised, on this weekend of love, I want to bring you one of my favorite, lovely, aromatic chocolate beverages. I'm talking about that masala chai that we were talking about before Valentine's Day. I'm going to show you exactly how it all comes together here in our kitchen classroom. Are you ready? Come on down, let's take a look at our mise en place so you can see all the ingredients, okay? All right, so masala chai is an Indian tea that is filled with loads of spices. So we're going to start off with the chai part, the tea. These are just a loose leaf black tea. You can see, and we've talked about tea before here in our kitchen classroom. What I like about loose leaf teas are that you get large pieces of the whole tea leaf, the whole Camellia sinensis. So that's what we're looking for here in our black tea. And this is just a simple black tea. You might see it labeled as black or Ceylon tea or orange pekoe. The orange pekoe tends to be more of the finer powder, the dust, the little bits that are left after all the tea processing has been done and the larger leaves are filtered out. If that's what you've got and all you have is in a powdered form, that's okay too. For this application, and this is one of the few that I might really recommend that for, what we want is the essence of the black tea, but the spices are what really make an amazing masala chai. Now, just like a garam masala in Indian cuisine, each spice blend is really mixed according to, well, how you and your family like it. So I'm going to show you what I like to put in our masala chai blend, and you can mix and adjust and add or subtract based on what you like. Let's take a look at the spices. All right, so some of the first things that I love to see in a masala chai are cinnamon. You'll remember I showed you one of my cinnamon sticks earlier in the week as we were taking a look at talking about some of the grocery store medicine, some of the things that we love to use to help us feel really good in our kitchen or we find in our pantry. And cinnamon sticks, a whole cinnamon stick like this, is what I love. We also have ginger. And ginger is one of the most pungent aromatics that always comes out in our kitchen classroom whenever anyone is starting to feel a little under the weather, shall we say. Ginger is known, especially in Indian cuisine and Ayurvedic medicine, for helping things like stomach unease and for helping to open up the nasal and sinus passages and to soothe the throat. So if you've ever had anything like that's a soothing tummy tea, or that's supposed to help to open up your nasal passages or soothe the throat, it's probably something that's got ginger in it. This is a whole ginger root that I've just diced up, and that's just going to help the ginger flavor to really seep out into our tea mixture. You can slice it, you can dice it, you can grate it, you can put it in however you like. Now, I'm going to pause for just a minute here to make note of the fact that in this particular recipe, we're using whole spices. And that's important because of the time that we're going to take to steep and to really draw out the flavors of these whole spices. So the question I always get is, well, can you just use the dry and the powdered stuff? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. The flavor difference, however, might mean that you're going to want to use more of the powdered spices than you will if you see the whole spices that I'm using here. It's going to depend on the pungency, the freshness with which your spices are ground. In fact, some of these I will grind myself at times. And again, it's going to depend on how you like it. Now, later in the process, you're going to watch me strain the tea mixture, and this is going to be really important. If you decide to use powdered spices in your masala chai, I'm going to recommend that you use something like a cheesecloth, fine, super fine, even double fine mesh strainer, or coffee filter. because the powdered ground spices are going to tend to leave more of that grinding kind of detritus in your tea. And that's not going to feel good in your mouth when you drink it. So you're going to want to make sure you strain out as much of that as possible. Okay? All right, so that's it about the whole versus powdered spices. Let's get down and look at the rest of the mixture here. All right, so for the other spices I like to use in my masala chai, we have some star anise, nutmeg, black pepper, green cardamom, and clove. And we're going to take a look at each one of these. This is a whole nutmeg. And this is one that we will grind fresh. If you'll remember, our little Sue demonstrated exactly how he likes to do that back when we were making the holiday spiced bread pudding, using that super, super fine plain grating, okay? We've also got black pepper. And yes, I know black pepper is one of those things that you usually think of as a savory spice. The kick that this adds to the masala chai is absolutely wonderful. And it's going to be tempered by some other things that we have in our mixture. If you like a lot of pepper or heat, you can add more. If you don't, you can add less or leave it out. I've got some green cardamom here. That's what I have access to here in Albania, where we're making this now. At other times, in other locations around the world, we've had only black cardamom, or maybe even none at all. They're not exactly interchangeable, but the cardamom flavors of the different colors are pretty similar. So if you have one or the other or both, you're welcome to go ahead and use those. I have whole cloves here. Those of you from the United States, you might recognize these as the little studded pieces in a holiday ham. These cloves are also found studded in oranges. When we made pomanders, this is a wonderful holiday decorative, and this is incredibly aromatic. These are very strong and powerful, so you only need a couple of these. And then this last one, I have gone through so much of my spice mixtures here. I don't even have a whole star yet, but this is just two little ends of what is sometimes a whole big flower of star anise. Now this is one of those spices. It has very not just anise, like licorice kind of tones to it. For some people, this is what truly makes a masala chai. If you like licorice, if you like that anisey flavor, that's great. You can add a whole star. If you're not so sure, you might just want to put one or two of these little flowers in there. And if you're not a fan of licorice flavors, you might choose to leave this out entirely. Another spice that I often have access to that we haven't found here in Albania is allspice. That also looks very similar to the black peppercorns that we have here, which you can grind in a pepper grinder, a pepper mill, if that's what you have. I don't have any allspice here now, so we're leaving this out. Again, remember, your masala mixture is your own, so you can add or take away as you like it. Okay, now I told you this was going to be our special chocolate version. So the last thing I have over here is a little bit of cocoa powder. And, hold on, let me tip this back down so you can see. Our cocoa powder has been sifted here and mixed with some sugar. Okay. And I do recommend sifting because, as you can see, the chocolate sometimes clumps into these little lumps, and that's going to make it a little bit more challenging to dissolve. Now, this is one of those great fun activities for little hands who want to help you make your masala chai. They can count out the peppercorns, the cardamom pods, the cloves, all of those different things, and they can grate or help you sift the cocoa. You might tap. You can just run a spoon around here like this. I'm just making sure to break up those cocoa clumps so that we don't have big lumps and clumps that don't dissolve into our final tea mixture. Okay, and now we're just left with the sugar there. So, and this is approximately 3 tablespoons of sugar and 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. If you choose to sweeten your masala chai with something else, you are welcome to do that. Honey, agave nectar, syrup, whatever kind of sweetener you like. For me, masala chai does need to be sweetened. And so I'm using sugar here just so you can see how easily it blends with the cocoa powder. but you can sweeten it with whatever you like. I will caution you to taste your honey, whatever kind of variety of honey you're using, and to make sure that it pairs nicely with the spices. I do have a saffron honey that we found in Greece that I think would pair beautifully with all the other aromatics here. Maybe next time we'll do that. All right, come on over to the stove really quickly and I'll show you how all this comes together. All right, so we have all of these ingredients and I've measured out a good probably 3 tablespoons of the black tea and the spices and just put them into a hot pot. This is approximately half and half milk and water. And I use half and half for a very specific reason. You'll see here, you can see a little bit of the peppercorns, the tea leaves, the cardamom pods floating in our tea mixture. This has been sitting on the stove. It came up to the barest simmer so that the tiny little bubbles were just breaking the surface. And then I turned off the heat and it's been sitting here steeping for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, if you've been with me for a while here in our kitchen classroom, you will know it is possible to burn tea, which is why I say we only bring this up to the barest simmer. We don't want it to come to a boil, but we do, once it comes up to temperature, want to allow it to steep. Now, just, was it last week or 2 weeks ago maybe, we were talking about blooming Indian spices. This is a great technique for really bringing out the flavors in your herbs and spices, and that's what we're doing here in this milk and water mixture. We are blooming the spices, allowing them to steep in the hot liquid so that all those aromatic oils come out, and that's what makes our masala chai so powerful. Now again, most teas, the instructions will tell you to bring the water up to a boil. Don't do it, just below a bare boil. But allow it to steep for 3 to 5 minutes, the instructions will tell you. For masala chai, because we really want to bring out the flavors of the spices, I'm going to encourage you to let it steep longer. Like I said, this one's been going about 15 to 20 minutes. So now it's ready to come back over so that we can add in our cocoa mixture. All right, so we're going to come back down here and I'm going to show you how we pour it all in. Okay, so we've got our cocoa and sugar mixture right here. And using our strainer, because remember, we don't want to get all those herbs from the tea leaves or the spices that we just steeped in here. I'm just going to strain a little bit of this milk mixture directly in here. There we go. And then, using our whisk, we're just going to pull all this together. And this is part of the reason it was important to help whisk the cocoa powder. We don't want any lumps. The hot liquid is also going to help make sure that all the cocoa dissolves and all the sugar dissolves so that we get it all together. Isn't that a wonderful chocolate looking mixture? Now remember, that's just a little bit here. Now we're going to pour this back into our teapot. There we go. And pour it all in and just stir it gently. Oh, and we can see here on the bottom it didn't quite dissolve all of the sugar and the cocoa powder. So we'll just do that one more time. Pouring a little bit of the warm mixture. There we go. And whisk, whisk, whisk. Dissolve all the last little bits of sugar and cocoa powder. And then we'll bring it back together in our teapot. There we go. Oh, this is one of those times, Fun Food fans, when I really wish you had smell-o-vision. Oh, the cinnamon and the ginger really come through powerfully. But because this didn't come all the way up to a boil, and because it has been steeping for the last 15 or 20 minutes, it's no longer super hot. So now that this mixture has come together, we can pour and taste. All right? So we'll bring over a teacup, my favorite purple. And we can just pour directly using our strainer so that we keep out the tea leaves and the little bits of spices right into the cup. There we go. Oh, that smells amazing. And this is our chocolate masala chai. Oh, that is so rich and creamy and soothing. Oh, and absolutely delicious. Now again, you can make so many different variations of this on your own. Maybe you and your family don't do dairy. I have some clients who have loved my variations on this with soy milk, almond milk, coconut milk, even rice milk. So you can do whatever variations you like. You want it thicker and creamier? Add more milk and less water. For 1 liter that we made here, I used approximately half and half, so a couple cups of water and a couple cups of milk. But you can adjust those ratios as you like it. You want yours a little sweeter? Add more of your favorite sweetener. You want it a little less? Or you leave out the cocoa entirely and just appreciate the tea and the spices. Oh, I can't wait to hear how your chocolate masala chai comes together in your kitchen classroom. Pop on over to our Play with Your Food group so that you can share all the richness that everybody is making up in their kitchen classrooms all over the world. I can't wait to hear how yours turns out, and I will see you again in our next video. Take care, everybody.